Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Good evening, Beer Geeks. Merry Christmas. I am sat here at my desk on what I hope is going to be my last day of work in 2020. And I'm staring basically at our subscriber count.
Mate, it's about to get real.
By real, you mean we're about to get a Chrome certificate thing?
Oh, I can't wait. I've been watching... So we're about to hit 100,000 subs, guys, which is obviously incredible for us. And that means we get a Silver Creator Award from YouTube, which is a very, very sort of beautiful looking plaque to put on the wall that has our names on it and the achievement and whatnot. Mate, I'm absolutely over the moon to be getting one of those. We haven't had an email yet. Hopefully they're not going to say we don't qualify it for any bullshit reason, but I can't wait. I've got a little place in my front room to stick it.
I love the dichotomy between you panicking that they're going to say we don't count, but also clearing a space ready for it.
Yeah, of course. got to be ready.
There's no reason for them to say we don't count. We're definitely going to count. We're definitely going to get the plaque. And, you know, it doesn't mean a huge amount, really, other than getting a plaque, and we'll get some more help from YouTube because we'll get an account manager who will sort of help us grow and teach us some things. But, you know, I've watched enough exploitative videos on YouTube about how to grow your subscribers that I know all the ins and outs that they'll be telling us. I'm sure those guys are definitely correct and not just cashing in on affiliate links.
Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is, we've never gone down the clickbait route. I think we could have grown way more rapidly, but we wouldn't have been the same beast at the end of it.
Yeah, we're like I think we're a fine brisket. That's cooking it. Slow and low.
Slow and low. Barbecue. Yeah. Texas barbecue style. Exactly. Memphis barbecue style, maybe.
Somebody put a comment on, I can't remember which video it is, but they said we were a sleeper channel, which I could just be an insult. He's saying that he falls asleep while he listens. But I think what he meant was we're growing slowly and surely.
Yeah, massively. There was a comment like that this week, actually.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking about, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
I appreciate it. Although we'll get into it towards the end of this podcast. We're going to do a little retrospective on the year, but we did do one clickbait article, which we didn't intend to be clickbait, and, you know, it's a 15, 16-minute video that definitely isn't, but I think the title and the thumbnail made people think it was. But we'll get into that and the fact that it now has 200,000 views. Let's start a quick plug before we get into this week's live show and Christmas video. We've got our final bit of content coming out on Sunday, which is our festive edition of The Bubble, in which we talk about our favourite Christmas singles with Kevin of the band Two Door Cinema Club. He's got a podcast called MFT, which is My First Tour. So do check out that podcast and do check out our podcast on Sunday with Kevin and his podcast partner Greg. It's a lot of fun, and we decide that Stay Another Day is not a Christmas song.
What? Sorry, rewind. 100% is a Christmas song, but you'll have to find out. It
doesn't mention Christmas.
Mate,
it's not about Christmas.
You not watch the video,
didn't have to come
dude.
out at Christmas.
What?
What, they put snow on it?
Mate, it's got fucking jingle bells on the track. Are you having a laugh?
No, we're dead serious.
It has festive jingle bells in the backing of the track. It's well Christmassy. That's like saying Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. Get out.
See, I think it's different because Die Hard is about Christmas. It's at a Christmas party. Anyway, let's not go down that route. If you want to hear our views on that, you can go back to last year's Christmas Films podcast, in which Brad, me, and my comedian friend Rich have that conversation for about half an hour. It's golden content, but I don't want to go back there. Let's talk about the. Should we go with the live show first?
Yeah, let's talk about live show.
So this was probably our second most ambitious. Obviously, our most ambitious was when we ran the London Craft Beer Festival on our channel. This was our second most ambitious. We had guests, including 3 amazing beer tubers, which would be Hopzine, Pint Sized, and Real Ale Guide, or Simon, Ollie, and Rob. And then we also had Ned the Sneb Palmer, the cheese expert, the cheese whisperer, which I think for me was the highlight. As always, Ned's the highlight whenever I speak to him.
Big time.
He can make a year, let alone a live show, with the way he talks about cheese. And in that show, we tasted a beer that we also tasted in the Christmas show, which was the eggnog beer from White Hag.
Yes.
Which the comments, I look back at them because I could see them coming in, but there were so many comments coming in, I was missing a lot of them, were hysterical. Some people, mostly it was people either questioning themselves, like saying, I don't know why I like this, but I do. And then the other half were people who were sure of themselves and thought it was the fucking worst thing they'd ever put in their mouths. Where did you land on that? We seemed less sure in the Christmas video, but I did not like it in the live show.
No, I mean, I think Christmas video, when we first sort of hit the eggnog, it had, well, looking back at it, I did the sort of drive-by smell of it, and I should have known at that point it was just like way over the top. It's one of the most sort of pungent beers I've probably sniffed in a while. Just too sweet, and I don't often say that, but it's just too sweet. You know, don't know what else to add really. It kind of tasted artificial, although I'm not sure it was that artificial.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just said natural flavourings on the back, which doesn't mean anything.
No.
Doesn't mean it's natural. Doesn't mean it's not really. But I think, I don't know. I mean, eggnog is a pale drink, but it feels like the flavours that are in it, like vanilla, nutmeg, cinnamon, those spices are actually probably better off in a dark beer, and that was my main issue. If it had been sweet, but with some roast to balance it, it would have been potentially quite a tasty beer. Probably still too sweet, but in a pale beer, it ended up tasting like, you know, liquid white chocolate, which, you know, sounds amazing when you say it, but 2 sips in, you know, it's why the Milky Bar is such a small chocolate bar. It's just
very sickly,
incredibly sickly. Yeah, so it was sort of well made, but not enjoyable. I'm sure it's great for somebody. There's somebody out there who has probably bought a case of it, going, "I like beer now."
Yeah. My favourite
hopefully
beer.
That'll lead them down to other avenues.
Hopefully. I think my favourite beer of the night was the incredibly chocolatey cocoa, really strong beer from, was that Omnipollo, wasn't it, at the end?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I thought that was amazing.
It was brilliant, and it was a slight departure from Omnipollo because it was a very savoury chocolate aroma. It was really accurate to dark chocolate, and it was so drinkable. It was one of the best Omnipollo beers I've had. I thought it was brilliant.
I actually drank a little bit the next morning when I found it on the side.
I
was like, oh, still pretty good.
It was one of those drunken nights where I woke up feeling a little bit. Like, I woke up feeling fine, which usually means you're still a little bit drunk.
Yeah. We haven't commented on the fact that I had an Antiques Roadshow moment on it either. When I spotted Ned the Sneb's cheese board,
God, yeah.
which has been confirmed, I think, by other eagle-eyed people when I pointed it out, that it was a Robert Mouseman Thompson handmade cheese board with a little carved mouse. This guy's work has been on Antiques Roadshow a bunch of times, and someone Googled Mouseman cheese board, and apparently one had sold recently for £600. So,
do you know what's amazing as well is shortly afterwards I got a message from Neil at Cave Direct, who helps us sort out all our boxes, and he has one at home. He sent me a text with a photo being like, "What?"
He's got one.
He's got one,
mate. I'm gonna have to ask him about that next time I see him, where he got it from.
It's the new Bitcoin, I've heard, these cheese boards.
These cheese boards are better than Bitcoin, mate. These are less fluctuation in the cheese board market than
That's true.
than the Bitcoin market, no doubt. Should we talk about this week's video? What do you reckon?
Yes, let's talk about the Christmas beer video, which is usually my favourite video of the year. Like back when we didn't really leave the sofa except for the odd sort of feature with a brewery, it was the show I look forward to most every year. And this year, I think, it was a vintage episode, but it all focused around one particular event. And I'm not talking about the bit where Brad says he wants to bone me. We're gonna pass over that.
I think I said I could be boned by a Toblerone, which is like totally
self-boning.
Totally not what I meant. And also, like, no one in their right mind would want to be boned by a Toblerone because imagine sticking that somewhere. It's so spiky.
It's probably been up somebody's bum in an emergency room somewhere around.
Definitely not a giant Toblerone, mate. You can't fit a giant Toblerone in your anus, without doubt.
Okay. Let's not start another incident, Brad.
I tell you what, though, Johnny, if you did, though, it would melt, right, at some point. So you might not need to go to the accident emergency. It would take a while for it to melt, though, probably.
Yeah, Toblerone is dense, I think.
Jesus.
Anyway, so this incident was where Brad decided to mime cracking my head open with a Terry's chocolate orange,
like
which led to a debate. Like a caveman.
Yeah.
And it led to a debate about whether Terry's chocolate orange or Toblerone would be a better Christmas weapon.
Oh, it's the ultimate question. Do you think this is our most responded to thing ever? Because you put it out on Twitter as a poll, right? And then on YouTube, obviously, it's got fucking millions of comments about it also. How many? You cut the poll off, which I think if you'd left it running, we would have been into the tens of thousands of votes by now. But the outcome. What was the outcome? Like, what was the final outcome? On the
the
Twitter
outcome was so I was proposing in the video a frozen Toblerone. That got 23.9% of the vote, and a chocolate orange in a sock, which was actually a suggestion from the comments.
Yes,
got 76.1.
Oh, come on! I mean, I'm onto something here. I mean, it was an evolution. Saying to put it into a sock was.
Yeah, I think because my main reason why I thought the Toblerone would be better is you'd have a longer reach.
Longer reach, yeah.
Which is cancelled out by the sock.
The sock, especially if it's a long
Suddenly
sock.
you do have reach.
Like a sort of like a football or rugby sock or something, or one of those really really long, kinky socks that used to be able to get in Urban Outfitters for girls. One of those fuckers. They're about 3 feet long. You could. That's the reach on that, and also when you think about the kind of gravitational force when you're spinning that around your head. Wow! I reckon you could smash a melon clean open with that. You could crack a melon open.
Right, we're buying a slow-mo camera, and we're doing it next year.
Mythbusters style. Maybe next Christmas video, this is what we're doing. We'll just be sort of like something out of ancient times. Like we'll be mounted on horses, and I'll have we'll be essentially jousting. You'll have a giant Toblerone, and I think
you're overestimating our budget here, Brad.
Oh, this time next year, mate, we're going to be Casquillionaires. It's going great. Yeah.
We'll sell the plaque for £100 and buy a horse.
Buy a knackered old horse.
So let's look at some of the glorious comments that were underneath in this debate. My favourite was John Parry saying that if your victim has a nut allergy, then Toblerone would be the stealth option. And that's a strong point. I
was going to comment on that because I think that is underhand and not very gentlemanly. We're talking about the art of one-on-one combat here. This is like a duel to the death situation. That was what I was thinking in my head. Well, I was thinking a crime of passion. You're sitting around, you didn't get what you wanted for Christmas, and you hate your partner, and you're like, I hate you! And you go to grab something, probably you've drunk too much or whatever, or you've eaten too much and it's drove you delirious. You go to grab something to kill them with, And is it that roundness, or is it that big boy Toblerone? And that was what I was thinking in my head. So I guess it doesn't need to be gentlemanly.
But that's what you're thinking. But what you're saying is, don't buy me the wrong present, people. Which is a slightly scary thing.
Well, Christmas isn't about presents. I don't really care about presents too much. But
says the man who murders people for buying the wrong present.
No. I was just picturing somebody getting in such a rage. Not me. I would never do that to anybody. I'm a pacifist.
I mean, you did it in the video.
I did do it in the video. In a sort of Columbo-style way. I was sort of proposing, maybe Hercule Poirot-style way, that I just needed to twiddle my tash a bit more to say...
Put on a bad French accent.
Belgian accent. Or I reckon I could do Columbo better than Poirot, to be honest. I kind of look like a tramp as well, so I've got that going for me.
Yeah. What other comments did you enjoy?
Well, out of those ones, I found one that I liked in particular from a guy called Guns, Bikes and Brews, which is quite a name. Fact: chocolate orange in a sock is lethal. And I think that is a fact. I don't know whether it's been borne out in any sort of reality ever on any timeline. But I'm sure someone must have been killed by a Scotch egg. Sorry, not a Scotch egg. That's throwing back to last week's video. Someone's definitely been killed by a Scotch egg, though. Too many
Scotch... But they've choked on it.
Yeah, they've choked on it, right? Or they've eaten too many of them and it's given them, like, some sort of horrendous gout that's made them, not be able to get across the road fast enough. And they've been pancaked or something along those lines. There was... I can't find that comment about being a sleeper channel. But I did like that as well. So whoever that was, thank you. That was appreciated.
He's gone back to sleep.
Yeah.
So yes, the Christmas video was a resounding success. People also enjoyed the fact that back in January I said I had a good feeling about 2020.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, that's great.
if I'm honest, I can't remember whether I was being serious or not. My tone implies not.
Well, you looked off to the side, didn't you, when you said it? Which I'm not sure. I need to watch it back, but. You look down, right? If you look up to the left, does that mean you're lying, doesn't it?
I think that's mumbo jumbo, Brad.
It totally isn't because you've got your left and your right. It 100% isn't, mate. I think
the left and the right brain thing is also nonsense.
No.
It's like the places on your tongue tasting different things. It's like, no, it's so much more complicated than that you're basically wrong.
I mean, it is definitely like there are definitely regions of the brain that think they use different. Parts of the brain.
But
because people when they have
right,
a stroke, they might lose part of their brain, their personality changes, or they suddenly develop a French Canadian accent, or like an Australian. Accents is a big thing. If you've had a stroke and you come back, and you've developed a new accent.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Brad. You're just going off on one. I'm just saying I think that if it was easy enough to spot a lie, all you had to do was look at whether they looked up and left, then spies wouldn't exist, and nor would politicians.
Well, this is a big mate. That's 100% true. You can Google that shit. That is true. You're accessing different. You're accessing.
The fact that you can Google something does not make something true. Can I just make that super clear?
You're either accessing memories or you're accessing the creative part of your brain, and you're making something up. We'll get back to you guys in 2021.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that one. Maybe in 2021.
Yes.
Obviously, you don't come here for scientific truths other than those around beer. So
you're
probably not going to lose too much sleep at Christmas.
I would say people do come here for scientific truths, Johnny. We've established that the Toblerone is an inferior weapon to the chocolate orange. Fact, scientific fact.
You're right. It's fact.
What else do they want? What else do they want, man? What else can we provide? If we're not a safe home for science, in this world of strangeness. I'll tell you what, I've got a hangover, Johnny, today, right? And I was drinking Augustina Helles last night. Street drinking, no less. Bought some lovely bottles of it from Hot Burns Black in Deptford. Was drinking it outside.
Just cruise the streets of South London.
Yeah, that's it. And I was looking at the label, and I was really looking at the label because it is a beautiful beer. And it was quite cold. I was sat out with a friend in my bubble on his birthday, And I noticed that the man on the Augustina Brau München logo, he actually looks exactly like Grandpa from the Munsters. To the point where I was like, that is definitely Grandpa from the Munsters. Now, Grandpa from the Munsters was a 1960s groovy TV show where you had like Frankenstein's monster was the dad, and you had little Eddie Munster, who was like a little Dracula guy, and then Grandpa was a Dracula. He was a vampire. So it got me thinking. I was like, Augustina is the oldest brewery in Munich, and that has been there since the 13th century. So what if Grandpa from the Munsters was actually a vampire, and he founded Augustina Brau, and then went to Hollywood in the 60s and starred in a comedy, comedy show, a weekly comedy show. What do you reckon, Johnny?
Well, what do you mean? What do I reckon?
Do you reckon could that be true? People said they wanted more Brad conspiracies. This is a Brad conspiracy for you.
Hey, I am down with the Brad conspiracy. Yeah. It's where you ask for my opinion as if it could be a real thing. That's where I struggle. I'm going to go with yes. I think
thanks, mate.
That the Grandpa from Munsters is actually 700 years old and a monk and a brilliant brewer.
Yes. And he's still alive somewhere in seclusion.
There you go.
No doubt.
Those are the facts that you come to the, the Friday 5pm podcast for.
Exactly right.
That was a 10 out of 10 diversion, Brad. Let's move across to our question of the week, which is a second question from Ben Filmbusters, one of our most valued Patreons.
Oh, yes.
And he has a question about Christmas Day.
Hello, boys. Merry Christmas to you. Couple of weeks in advance. But I'm wishing you, because my question relates to Christmas Day. My question, right, is on Christmas Day, I always find that I somehow peak a little too early with the drinking. So, as we all know, Christmas drinks tend to start fairly early in the day. I wondered if you two had any tips on the best way to stave off that 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock sleepy slump that starts to kick in. I found that stopping drinking doesn't work. And I found that continuing drinking doesn't work. So what are the intervals you'd recommend? And what are maybe some of the side nibbles that you'd recommend to keep you lively rather than falling asleep? I'd really like to know, and I'll share the wisdom with my loved ones on Christmas Day. Cheers, boys.
So first, Ben, I just want to say congratulations for making it to 6 or 7 p.m. on the day, because I'm a 4 o'clock passer outer. I've got to be honest. And the way that I get around it is... the way I should get around it is coffee beer.
Coffee beer. That's a good shout. That is a good shout.
It'll keep the buzz going, but it'll also introduce a new buzz.
Yeah.
And another thing I used to do with my family, we don't do it so much anymore, is going for a walk or just going outside for a bit, because you get so warm and cosy and boozy, and if it's a cold day and you step out, that's a slap in the face that can reset you.
Yeah, big time. I agree with that.
I should say have a glass of water too.
Well, the odd glass of water certainly helps. I like a thing that my family would do when we're together over Crimbo is definitely go out and have a walk on the beach, because I'd be with my mum at her place near the seaside. So we'd go and have a refreshing, bracing walk on the Sussex beach, pebbly beaches of Sussex, and reinvigorate ourselves. But I
seem to remember last year you did that and you dangled a baby Michael Jackson style while saying cheers to everybody on Instagram.
I did. I was drinking I was on the beach. I don't know if that was last year or the year before, but I think it was last year. I was drinking a Thornbridge. Was it something Mountain? The hazy IPA they'd done.
Green Mountain.
Yeah, like a sort of New England style thing. I think they'd only just come out of it at that point. Or it'd been out a little while, I don't know. But it was pretty good. And I was dangling my nephew, like you say, Michael Jackson style, while attempted to sort of one hand crack a tinny, which went everywhere. and it was so loud and brutal wind, but yeah, it was really nice. I enjoyed that. That was a tasty beer. What are my tactics? I don't know what my tactics are. I just think you've got to give up on Christmas Day because you're doomed, right? You've eaten too much, you've drunk too much. Like, you're gonna fall asleep. It's all, and like, if there's one day a year it's all right to have a snooze, it's got to be Christmas Day, right? Afternoon snoozing. What could be better?
100%. I think embrace the snooze if it's coming at you.
Yeah,
You know.
it could be a little catnap, and then you're ready for action again. I guess what you could do is try and coordinate the catnap. So it could be like a group catnap, like you're a toddler. Your whole family becomes a toddler on Christmas Day, and you have an allotted nap time. When you put something boring on the TV that's going to make everyone fall asleep, and that's not hard to do on Christmas Day because they'll like trot out some sort of 1960s Alf Garnett sort of what's it called, the fucking hell, I can't remember what it's called, the thing where they're all Dad's Army. I was thinking of Dad's Army, or like Only Fools and Horses, or something along those lines. Not that was terrible, but something that's a bit slow, that's going to make you fall asleep and have a doze.
The sleeper hits. Yeah.
A sleeper hit like us, Johnny. Yeah. The other thing I would say is if you were really militant about staying awake, you could approach it like, if you were to go on a lad's trip to Prague and you were drinking all day every day, which I've done, many a time, and it's a wonderful thing to do for a stag do or whatnot. Those things you eat very with a lot of tact. I can't even think of the word. Tactically.
There it is.
Oh my god, that's not even a difficult word. You eat tactically, so you're eating stuff that's really greasy, and really bready, and is going to absorb.
But isn't that going to slow you down?
Yeah, but if you drink enough, it basically it's just a mountain of just like one-upmanship. So you're like, I'm really drunk now, so I need to eat some more greasy stuff to soak it up. Oh my god, now I'm really tired, now I need to drink some more. So you just kind of escalate it. But you don't get a hangover because it's such great, fresh beer.
There you go. More great scientific advice from Dr. Brad.
Yeah,
you can't get a hangover. Greasy food keeps you awake.
You might get gout after this, but my suggestion is get some tank beer. Like the Coca-Cola Holidays Are Coming massive semi-truck, that's the big red semi-truck full of Coca-Cola that is now sort of ingrained on anyone with a television set's brain. Just imagine that, but it's full of beautiful tank beer, Pilsner Urquell, that's coming around, and Santa's like he's like a brewmaster in a sort of Bavarian outfit, not Bavarian, but Bohemian outfit, and he's got a hose, and he comes around and he just fills up your steins with tank beer.
I think Santa is Grandpa from the Munsters.
Oof.
I think that's his new job now.
Now you switched it around, haven't you? Now they've left me with something to think about. Jesus.
Well, let's leave you thinking about that one, and let's move on, because this podcast is spiraling out of control. But it's okay. It's Christmas. We wanted to have a little chat about the year that we've had, just to put it all in perspective for you guys, and to say thank you firstly to all of our Patreons and our pro Patreons who have made an incredibly difficult year for two freelancers, so much more comfortable and so much more exciting. And, we have huge plans for next year, which we'll get into at the end. But just a quick rundown of stats for you guys. This year, we had 1.7 million views.
Wow.
Which totaled 184,000 hours of watch time.
Wow.
And we gained 27,000 subscribers. Now, last year, let's just check. How many subscribers did we gain last year? I was going to say 12. We got 13. So we've more than doubled the speed at which we're growing, and we've more than doubled our views.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible.
It's absolutely amazing.
And I think that's testament to, we've all had hard times trying to do our day job or whatever you do in your life to kind of your daily existence has dramatically changed. And that's certainly the case with Craft Beer Channel as well. Like, we haven't been able to travel. We haven't been able to do the things that we feel comfortable with and that we know people are interested to watch. So we had to sort of...
And that we're best at making as well. We're not best. I mean, I don't think we're best sat on the sofa. I think we're best travelling.
Yeah, definitely.
We're best meeting new people. Well, you certainly are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what we love doing as well. So, it kind of started off being quite disappointing because we had, plans to travel to America again this year. And, we had sort of work plans where we were going to make stuff out in Czech Republic and all around the UK as well. Like kind of funded series to develop, essentially. And that all of that work went away as soon as Corona reared its head. But I think we adapted Jurassic Park style, and Craft Beer Channel found a way, Johnny.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've really adapted. I wonder what these 27,000 subscribers are going to think when we start travelling again, and they're like, "That's not homebrew." But we do have big plans for our homebrew content next year. But just a little look at our most popular videos. I'll put a link to the top 3, I think, in the show notes. But tasting the world's strongest beer, the Brewdog beer, was our biggest, and it hit 2,000 views last night. 200,000 views.
Yeah.
Which is just insane. And the comments on there are hysterical. We've sort of tapped into the wider audience who have very little time for 2 pseudo-hipsters drinking beer. Then What is New England IPA is up there at 80,000 views.
That's great.
Which I think is wonderful and really taps in. I wanted to make that video because we realised that lots of people think that all IPA is hazy and juicy. And so although we called it What is New England IPA, really the point of the video is it's a new thing. This is not what IPA used to be, and here's the other style that you maybe haven't come across, being West Coast. And then Are You Buying Craft Beer Wrong was the next big hit with 55,000 views.
Yeah, which I think is also, these when you kind of look at those videos that are the hits, they're obvious that they're going to do well because they're things that people are searching for. But what we kind of hope is that we put things out like that, and then you might stay around and watch like a deeper dive into a brewery visit or a kind of an exploration of a region of America or like a home brewing video. We kind of got them as calling cards that wave people in the door. And then once you're in, hopefully you're going to stay and have another pint or another video.
That Brewdog one, we gained 2,000 subscribers from that video.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
The What is New England IPA, we gained 4,000 subscribers from it.
Wow!
So we are bringing in, that video was exactly what we want to produce, something that is super easy and approachable, and kind of basic in the stories we're telling. But it brings in a whole new raft of people who want to learn more. So, yeah, I mean, it just shows that video was super effective, and it's probably my favourite video we've done in terms of like concept, and the thumbnail's great as well. Anyway, I'm getting super nerdy about how you run a YouTube business, so ignore that. So yeah, next year.
Before we move on to next year, Johnny, I think you didn't really, because you talked about the hits of this year. I think the best things we've done this year have been the isolation things when we were in lockdown and you brewed a cask ale at home. That was amazing, right?
Yeah,
that was for me.
I mean,
that was.
I was going to say I can't really say it was amazing. I made it.
You made it, yeah. But
what
a great story, and what like I was talking about how hopefully we've triumphed over these impossible situations that we all find ourselves in. And I think that is a triumphant thing to have done, is to like bring the pub home, the pubs are closed. The future isn't definite anymore. Like the whole world's changed, but you still want a cask ale, and like to sort of think around the problem and, buy a beer engine, do all the hard work, talk to the brewer at 5 Points, Greg, who knows how to make one of the best ones in the world, and produce something at the end which I thought was cracking. What a story to tell. I thought that was a great adventure, and it was almost like we travelled anyway, mate, because we had such a great experience with that video. I think that we kind of didn't need to travel. We were right where we needed to be for that one.
Yeah, and it was one of those videos, a bit like when we compared Pliny and Hetty in Mother Kelly's many years ago, and that got loads of views and sent us on that journey to New England where we made the documentary. I feel like this car scale video is another step change for us, and it's going to send us on lots of homebrew adventures.
Defo.
So it's sort of one that, it was my favourite video from this year.
Yeah, mine too, man.
Particularly the second one.
Yeah.
I thought it was just, a really great little story with a wonderful payoff, with me managing to pour some beer for some friends, and a special video that I always look back on and love, and hopefully is going to push us forward next year when we're going to be hopefully travelling again towards the end of the year, doing loads more homebrew content. We've got lots of exciting news to impart probably in a month or 2 months' time. And then, we do want to make the documentary that we were going to make this year but couldn't because of travel restrictions. That's my aim for next year. For the Craft Beer Channel, to make documentary number 2.
Big time.
Yeah, so next year, lots of homebrew plans and travel plans, and I'm super excited to get stuck into that. It would also be remiss of me not to say that I also have a book coming out next year, which is always an exciting thing.
Nice.
But that's not till September, so you'll hear all about that multiple times when it finally happens. So all that's left to say really is thanks so much to everyone who listened to this podcast. This podcast has also grown hugely. It's in the top 50 for food and drink in the UK.
Top 40, mate. I would argue in a sort of
is it top 40 now?
Top of the pop style. I think it is in the top 40. That's my metric, mate. We made a top 40 record, as it were. Like, I'm never going to be in a band, but we do sing occasionally. I sing quite badly on this podcast, so I could claim I had a top 40 hit.
Hey, well, maybe next Christmas, along with smashing a melon with a chocolate orange in a sock, we could somehow tie that into our Christmas single called "Smashing a Melon with a chocolate orange in a sock."
Do you know what I've discovered yesterday on a Christmas hit theme? Right,
go on.
You can sing "Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly." That the tune to that, you can sing Iron Man from Black Sabbath. You can sing the lyrics perfectly atop it. So instead of "Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly," it's deck the halls with boughs of holly. It's generals gathered in their masses. Da 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 da. And you go on from there.
There you go. That's our Christmas gift from the Craft Beer Channel to you. Brad attempting to sing Iron Man to the tune of Deck the Halls. Guys, it's been an incredible year for us, and we can't thank you enough for listening, for subscribing, and all of our Patreons. You're absolute fucking legends, and you make what we do possible, and we can't thank you enough. And it's been a joy getting to know so many of you in our Discord forum over the last couple of months, which we'll be promoting properly now that we know that it's an absolute joy. Come January, we'll be pushing it to get some new members in there and really grow it as an amazing resource. So thank you so much. We will see you guys. I think we're back on the 6th of January will be our next video, which will be our big in 2021, in which I will be making zero predictions about my feelings for the year, but lots about the big styles and the big breweries for 2021. Have an amazing Christmas, and we'll see you in January.
We love you. Bye.
The Bubble Podcast is brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's Craft Beer Channel. Head to youtube.com/the Craft Beer Channel to watch this week's video and over 400 more exciting episodes. If you love what we do, please do subscribe and even join our Patreon at patreon.com/craftbeerchannel. Love and beer.